And I've been joined by Adefemi Akitsanya for updates on day 3 of the Intra-Africa Trade Fair. Morning, Adefemi.
Adefemi Akitsanya, how are you? Well, thank you for the great work you are doing. But quickly, any updates? Okay, you got the joke. Any updates on the Nigerian Day, which I guess is going to take place tomorrow?
Absolutely, you're absolutely correct. Nigeria Day will be taking place tomorrow, but you know, in the run-up to that, there's definitely a lot of activity happening in the pavilion, which is the exhibition hall, a few minutes walk away from the media center, which is where I'm talking to you from. So, you know, as in through the day, we will be getting a bit more updates on what we can expect, but there's definitely going to be a huge focus on the creative industries, entertainment, fashion, and of course social media. Definitely talking also about Nollywood and its growth over recent decades and how that can be facilitated to more intra-African growth also. So there's definitely a lot to be looking forward to, but as we heard in that report, it was a good day for Nigerian oil and Nigeria's oil and gas industry yesterday in terms of the deals that were signed, a huge amount of support being pledged into Nigerian industries and businesses within those industries rather by Afreximbank, and that's definitely something to look forward to. You will remember that a few days ago when Bolton spoke to the president, he did talk about infrastructure, and it was a little unclear in terms of specifically what he meant, but over the course of the days we can start to see definitely a shift in focus and looking at how if we're looking at oil and gas or oil exportation, for example, from Nigeria, how that's going to be supported by Afreximbank, and rightfully so is definitely going to be a huge area of improvement for many people needed in that. Many people would need within that industry. But if we look ahead to today now, in terms of what is happening on the third day of the Intra-Africa Trade Fair, there is going to be focus first and foremost on integrating African manufacturers into regional and global value chains. And I think that is the crux of what's happening today, making sure that if we're focusing on Nigeria, for example, and we're talking about intra-African trade, there has to be the framework and the infrastructure to allow that to happen. So that's what one of the main panel discussions will be focusing on. We are, of course, also expecting more deals to be signed today. And then later on this morning and onwards to the early afternoon, there'll be talks about the pharmaceutical industry across Africa and how that can be raised to meet international standards. And it's very important. It's a perfect time, really, to be talking about this. We are all still very much within the throes of the COVID-19 pandemic. And one of the lessons learned was that perhaps Africa's medical infrastructure, indeed Nigeria's medical infrastructure, needs to strengthen and needs to be able to withstand another pandemic should that happen. As it stands, Africa continues to import almost 95% of its medicines from outside the continent, and that's one of the things that many people here at the Intra-Africa Trade Fair are hoping to change for the future. So again, lots are happening today. We'll be listening and speaking to as many people as possible, but also, of course, looking forward to tomorrow, which is Nigeria's Country Day here at the Intra-Africa Trade Fair.
We're certainly looking forward to Nigeria Day tomorrow, but I know the trade fair is not over yet, but so far, what sense do you get of the fact that really the whole idea is to boost intra-Africa trade? How far along are we? How further along are we on that so far, would you say?
Here's the thing. So progress has been made. If we're looking at the deals done and the conversations being had, there's definitely being a push into the right direction. But I think one thing that many people are concerned about is how investment will be quality. Not so much the money. The money's being pledged, and we'd imagine that the money would definitely come through. But how is that going to be spent? How are these projects going to be financed? What is that going to look like in terms of maintenance as well? That seems to be a recurring problem when it comes to Nigeria and infrastructure. The inability to make sure that it lasts for a long time. So I think one thing that many people are focused on is how we can really do more with the pledges, with the investments that have been put together here. One thing that is welcoming, and one thing that is a positive feeling though, is the fact that if we are talking about intra-Africa trade, there's definitely a lot of conversations happening, and that is a good thing. There's definitely progress, but in terms of more tangible change, we can only look ahead and hope that that continues to be the case as we go on throughout day 3 and move onwards to the rest of the day. We are also hoping to speak to Afreximbank President, of course, Benedict Orama, and speak to him too about what more we can expect as Nigerians, but indeed as Africans, if we're talking about intra-Africa trade, there has to be some sort of push away from conversations and the signing of papers to real tangible action for everybody.
Right, Femi, isn't it Nigeria's day already? Because we've seen 2 big deals being done and more deals to come. But the other part I would like to look at is more possibilities for deals in gas. Currently, we have a problem with gas in Nigeria because we are not getting enough gas in and we don't have enough deals. And that's why the price of gas is increasing. And in fact, experts say that it will only increase even more. And we have cases of people cutting down trees now as energy and fuel. Is there anything on the horizon you might be seeing there? Secondly, it is startling that we're not doing a lot in the pharmaceutical sector. Somebody will have thought that the COVID-19 pandemic, which the Afrexim Bank did help a great deal as regards purchase of vaccines, would also improve other African countries the possibility as regards creating hubs of pharmaceuticals. Are those deals going to get on the table in the coming days?
Let's discuss natural resources first. As you rightfully are aware, definitely yesterday was a huge day for the Nigerian oil and gas industry in terms of the deals being done. We can expect that will continue on today. Definitely, as you mentioned, there is a huge need for a change, for more support in Nigeria's gas industry because of the potential it has in various parts of the country, but also the fact that it is in high demand. So we can hope that will continue to be the case as we go through the fair today, and we will definitely be posing those questions to as many people as possible. Moving on to your question on pharmaceuticals, absolutely. We are already well aware that Afrexim Bank has put its money where its mouth is when it comes to securing vaccines for Africa. But one of the takeaways from that is that a whole lot more needs to be done. If we're talking about vaccinations, for example, for the COVID-19, if we look at Nigeria, we've primarily almost all of the vaccines being brought into the country have been, effectively handouts, and that's obviously not the position that Nigeria wants to continue to see itself in. So if we're talking about the pharmaceutical industry meeting regional and international standards, that's definitely going to take time, it's going to take money, it's going to take a lot of effort. And if we look at Nigeria's medical infrastructure, for example, that's a perfect example of where to start. So we're hoping that the deal signing ceremonies, which will be happening throughout today, usually starting towards the afternoon, will incorporate pharmaceutical industries, and we'll have a bit more information about what Nigeria can expect when it comes to solving its natural resource issues in terms of the demand and supply areas, but also talking about pharmaceuticals, not just pharmaceuticals either, just talking about Nigerian-made products and how they can be more regionally and internationally competitive.
All right. Thank you so much, Femi. Really appreciate you for your time, and we'll look forward to more deals being done in favor of Nigeria.